Okay, we are live. Just want to start off, you know, letting you know, Manosphere Greatness. You know, I'm one of the guys, top guys in the Manosphere people need to listen to because you got to understand I'm the way, the truth, and the light. When it comes to things going on in the Manosphere, I'm just letting everybody know that I'm great no matter what. You know, I do what needs to be done. I handle my business. You know, people need to understand the things that are going on right now is the things that I'm laying forth for the community to make lives better. People need to respect that. You know, we hear this a lot. That's the type of rhetoric you hear when you hear guys coming into the space. You know, they know more than you, they're smarter than you, they talk with authority as if you're beneath them. You have to get an understanding of the mind frame they're at. They just want to see people do great. And the ones who are not doing great need to fall beneath their feet. They're worthless. They're nobody. They can't change their life. They don't need to do nothing. And these are the guys that are supposed to lead the community. The guys who are out here talking crazy, you know, what about having the mindset to get to people's level? Hello, I'm listening. What's going on, Vivian? It's the mindset in which you can talk to people and give an understanding. No matter you have the highest of intellect where you can talk with scholars or the lowest internet, I mean just the lowest without any wits or smarts to where, you know, you can have compassion to talk to someone who you know mind frame is not all there, who can't really talk the talk or walk the walk due to the fact being, hey, they just don't know. And a lot of people coming in this space, you know, like I was talking about earlier, coming with authority, letting people know that they the greatest, and all these other people, they shouldn't do nothing for themselves. They shouldn't change because no matter what, they'll never be as great as the next man, and they'll take on anybody. You know, the whole purpose is why do we have to fight with each other? What is what makes you so great when you win a debate? A man who where you and him are not experts in it, but because you know a little knowledge, you think you're better than that man. You think you're smarter than that man. You know, even when it comes to the women, belittling the women, letting the women know that hey, you don't belong. There's no need. What's going on, Roger? What's going on, Sheila? How you doing? There's no need for you to even come over here and learn something because we don't want you to learn anything. We want you to be beneath us. You know, startup channels having guys come on there, and I roam through a lot of channels every once in a while because I hear guys throwing out these names. Like I said, some of them I go ahead and sub to them. I go ahead and try to hear what they got to say. But the whole narcissistic side to where which is all about you, and you can't give another man a helping hand because he don't deserve it. I've heard people on channels say they don't want to help the next man. Why? To make them better? I mean, I was assuming that that's what we do for the community. That's what we do for our fellow man. If we're gonna go from that level, helping people out, even if you don't want to help every man and child out, I mean, at least starting with your own race of people. Not even let's not even go take it that far. Not even helping out your immediate family, your cousins, your brother and sister, your mom, your dad. Like, what's going on, Jazzy? Nice to see you. How the little one. And when it comes down to it, it's like, what are we doing in this community. You know, we got guys running around here beating the chest as King Kong, telling guys, you know, how to do things, but then you might make one mistake. Don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're a failure. You'll never be great. You'll never be this. And I'm like, man, what is going on? Like, my friend, we was joking one time, and guy picked up a teddy bear, and the guy was getting all emotional. So he picked up the teddy bear, brought it to the other guy, and he told him, he said, "Show me what a bad man touched you," because the guy was getting in his feelings so bad. You know, he just like, you know, why are you so hurt? You know, what's going on with your life? You know, to have what's going on, Tone, to have this much aggression towards your fellow man. You know, I'm the best. Can't nobody top this. I don't care because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be one of the great, and nobody's gonna stop me. You know, I developed this plan. You know, this plan right here is gonna make my friends or my community or my people this money. It's gonna do this to enhance this, and you're like, goodness gracious, man! Like, why so much? Like, why do you have to go off the deep end that far? You know, why do we have to push this narrative? Hope my mic is not too high. I actually had it turned up from channel last night. But yeah, it's like, why do we have to push so much aggression on each other to, you know, show that we're great, kind of pushing narratives of which nobody, nobody can top each other. You know, we're the best of the best. Well, I'm sorry. I'm the best of the best, and you just a follower. You'll never be greater than me. So stay in your place and just sit down. You know, what is all this coming from? You know, BGS did a video about 5 days ago. Uh, he had talked about this on his channel. And what's going on? Life is so dang good. But it's like so much aggression towards your fellow man. Like I said, just even if we want to go take it a step further, why this is the main reason why BGS said a lot of black guys can't work with each other. You know, it's like a measuring contest. You know, mine's bigger than yours. You know, I'm more dominant than you. I can do things. You know, you can have a guy that probably can't lift up a boulder, but he can say, well, my intellect is far so superior that I shouldn't have to be lifting up boulders. I need to be mechanically engineering some type of, you know, machine to pick up this boulder so I can show that I'm smarter than you because you use brute strength, which it took me 3-4 hours to come up with this device, but I'm smarter because I use no muscles. It's because you didn't have any muscle, you know. And when it comes down to it, a lot of men I hear in this space pumping the chest, beating, you know, talking about how better they are in the community. You know, they be that as it may, they tell a lot of guys certain, you know, good things to, you know, advance the life, but they're not going to help you because in most cases they don't feel as if you're worthy. Oh, I said feel. But a lot of guys, man, they get to the point where they feel as if they're not worthy. I mean, to give the information to help the next man out. And I'm like, come on, man. We here with this to the issue of which a lot of men get to the point where they get to set the standard on what's what. Like, come on, what are we really doing? Like, what opportunities are we really giving each other? What opportunities are we trying to help each other face in life? Nothing. Only thing we're trying to do is deal with people that are on a higher plane or a high mind. And if you're not, then you're worthless. You're nothing. You know, I know guys that, you know, running these packs and they sit here and try to, you know, push the intellect in which they don't even know. As far as they know, half of these guys, They picked up a book, read something, true, learned a few things, but the point of somebody who's a professional that's been in fields, nah, they're not credible due to the fact they stupid. Cause they they went out there and experienced the stuff versus picking up a book and just learning it the easy way. You got guys that have been professionals in their field, that have been working in a field, let's say 10 years. Because you're not a seasoned vet, because you got 20 years in some, you don't know as much. Just admit it. You don't know. You don't know because you just don't know. You haven't learned anything. All you've learned is the experience that you've been in that field looking at it and doing. Like, what are we doing with that? Come on now. This is crazy in my opinion. Like, man, like why do we have to fight with each other so much in order to be somewhere and gain some type of knowledge and wisdom that we know more than the next man? Come on. Like, in the end of the day, what are we really cooking with? It ain't grease. Hold on one moment. Yeah, man, pardon me, out here getting his money together. No, that's what happens in the life, man. You gotta pay bills, but most of these guys don't know that because the funny thing I was heard one person say about them being born smart, seems as if they cut the umbilical cord, let the doctor know they didn't trust him because they didn't know if he could do it right. So in most cases, man, I'm always pushing, like, what are we gonna do with the community? You know, how are the men in our community going to cope and deal with this whole newfound knowledge when it comes to some of these people? You know, how are we gonna motivate the next man to be great when all we see is destruction from our fellow man? You know, they'll never amount to nothing. They'll never be nothing. So why they need to bother? You know, you got guys in this space actually promoting this, man. Like, whatever happened to building the community? Whatever happened to, you know, looking out for your fellow man, looking out for your brother? At one point, everybody was a brother. You know, everybody looked out for each other. Took it a couple years later, nobody wants to look out for nobody. What's going on, brother Bakari? What's going on, underrated? See y'all popping in here. But, you know, the crazy part is, man, like, what are we doing in the community? And underrated and Mace Tagger, shout out to Mace in the science space. He had caught me with saying I be going to a lot of panels, a lot of chats, and I do. The only way to kind of help some of the men is go to those spaces, go to those chats, talk to some of these guys. I frequent a lot of good channels, but also hit some of those trouble channels up to see if I can open up some of those guys' mind and change their mind about the way they're thinking, the way they want to move. Because, ultimately, most of the guys in the space, if you're not wanting a wife, I can understand that. Go ahead, shoot the women down. But if you really do want a woman, you know, from my understanding, you got to try to make that work. You have to try to make, a situation to where you can communicate with the women and get an understanding, let them know, you know, you want to work. That's the whole biggest thing. You'll never find, not even saying just true love, you'll never find the woman of your dreams or the woman of anything. If you're not out there trying, if you're always shooting down every individual that comes your way, you know, the whole point. You know, and the first and the biggest thing of all, when you're going into relations, get an understanding of what you want. That's why I always push that number one thing: knowledge of self, knowing what you want, knowing who you want, and going out there and try to hit those goals. Rule of thumb. You know, dealing with a woman, and if she can't be to the point of understanding, in which situations do happen, you know, why are you even dealing with her? Because that's a train wreck waiting to happen. You know, I've I've well, I can say this incident. There was an incident. Somewhat on a I was on a date with this woman, and we was out restaurant, nice. Um, ordered one. I think it was a steakhouse or a rib house or something like that. Some steakhouse, and she ordered some food, and what she did was the lady put her finger in the food, and when she put her finger in the food, she put it in the mashed potatoes and said that they were cold. And she was complaining about all the food being cold because you do know at restaurants they all bring the food out at the same time, unless you tell them as the food is prepared, bring it out. I don't care if everybody's waiting. I want my food hot, and that's what they'll do. But a lot of people don't do that because a lot of people don't know. To the extent when she stuck her finger in the food, it was cold. She wanted to take it back. Mine was, it wasn't that warm. I mean, it was warm, but it wasn't that hot. I kept my food to the degree I'm like, the way her attitude was to me, that they were going to spit in my food. And I didn't want that to happen. So I specifically just told the lady, I'm good. Go ahead. I'll just keep my food, you know, to the degree in which me and the lady didn't last. Because you got to look at it from this standpoint. Something simple as just being respectful, just to say, I'm sorry, I don't want this because it's cold, and or could you just bring me some more? Just tell her bring you another, because all the food wasn't technically cold. It was just the vegetables. And she tried the meat that she had, and it was still warm because meat kind of holds its temperature a little better than the vegetables sitting out. And my biggest thing was just tell her just to bring you some more vegetables, or just to go ahead and take the plate back, but you say it in a nice way, respectable way, and saying thank you and all that without the attitude, which she didn't do. And that informed me I don't see myself with this woman, because I know me and my personality. I treat people fairly equal, the same. Whether you're a homeless person, I give you the benefit of the doubt that you have some troubling things in your life. I'm not coming at you hard unless you come at me. That's the thing in most cases. I treat a lot of people with respect. I look out for people. You know, there's guys in situations I've loaned them money, knowing I'm not getting the money back. And there's guys who I'm cool with, that I'm really on and off with. I'll give them money to an extent to where, you know, the point of you paying me back determines what type of friend you are to me. You know, and the point of you paying me back, like I say with the women, I put men in the same category like I do women. If a woman acts a certain way, I know what category to put you in. Same thing in with the men. If you have honor and respect within yourself, you know what is right. You're gonna do what is right. The men that don't carry themselves in that form, what's going on, Mark? Gold P in the building. I don't deal with these guys who, do that. I'm gonna drop the link in a minute, but It's just this whole notion of guys in the space wanting to push a narrative that they're stronger and better, whether it be in the mind or anything. You earn a little money that makes you better than a man. You know, even if you got everything put together, you're better than the next man. Like this whole measuring contest, it gets old over time. You know, I've known guys who've had a lot of money and they end up just losing it all because it's just the mentality in which that person is just so evil to the point where some people got the best of hearts, but they get taken advantage of. A lot of those people they gain some of their money back, but the point of it is they'll never get back to where they were because of being so nice. And it comes down to it where a lot of people who's real nice, eventually they get their heart broke. People start to backstab, take over, use and abuse them, you know, put them in a vulnerable position to where they either have to end up doing something to hurt someone to get people to stop messing with you. The biggest thing in high school was when the bully got beat up by the little dork or somebody who they thought was a dork or somebody who was a nerd where everybody messed with until that one day he just couldn't take it no more. And a lot of guys are like this on YouTube. They're coming in their second win. They probably was that guy that got picked on in school. And this is a whole refresher course to where they can get back their youth, to where they be energized and, be this top dog. Like, what are we building for the next generation? Because 9 times out of 10, all the youth, majority of these younger generational guys coming up, they're going to be listening to these messages. And what they're going to hear is a lot of trash talking, a lot of, click groups and as the what's common say cults and stuff like that, and working it out to where like what are we doing with each other? Like how are we, setting things up setting things up for the good or basically for the bad, you know. And that's like gonna be the number one thing for us, man. Coming into this whole, era, like what are we gonna be promoting to the next generation? That's my biggest thing that I kind of push on to a lot of the, people that come up. Like, what are we doing? How are we helping the next man out? You know, how are we gonna influence one another to do better and be better? Like, I don't understand when it comes to guys, in this space. You want to talk about building a better community, but then when you're asked to, implement some plans to help people out, the Greg Faulkner initiative. How long has Charles been in this space? And he's implemented something. You got other guys have did something as well, but a lot of them don't get that shine, that recognition, because why? They're not putting themselves out there to get the recognition of being somebody famous or being like a top dog or something. They're only doing it for what? Just to be doing it. They're doing it to help each other out. You know, you might have a guy that puts a guy in a position to where you have a bad situation going on. He'll throw you something like, look, hey man, I know you're going through it. Go ahead and take care of your family, take care of this and do this for yourself. How many guys knew that he gave somebody some money unless they asked? How many guys knew that this guy was in a bad situation to where, his lights were getting cut off, his water was getting cut off. Nobody knows in this space. You can go to a you can go to the library, you go to McDonald's and get free Wi-Fi. You can have a phone that's not even turned on or a laptop that's just going there Wi-Fi, use your stream, sit out at the at the place midnight. Nobody's there. I knew these two young cats from Germany, and they came over, with their family had them come over, and they came over to work and visit some family and friends, and they ended up staying with um, one of the old, I said like an elder that the family knew, and they were meeting up with a couple of family members that stayed out of the city part because they were just coming in visiting and just experiencing things, and they didn't want to go to the country part in which the other family members were. So they end up going and staying in the city, was working in the city, is working at the job with me. And the guy said that the police had came and told them that they were stealing Wi-Fi, and the guy didn't understand. He was like, "But the Wi-Fi is free. It's free at the library. We have passes that we can get on the laptops and get on the Wi-Fi." They was like, "Well, you can't be at the library after hours." He's like, "Well, we're not in the library. We're in the parking lot. It's considered trespassing if we're in the building. If we're on the property, just in the car." He's like, "How's that considered trespassing?" So, they had that little beef in and out, but to the point where these guys didn't even have Wi-Fi at home, but they were doing all their work, talking. Back in the day, Skype was real big. So I lost touch with those guys, but I used to always Skype them on the internet. He would give me a call on the Skype every so often, be like, "Hey man, what's going on? What's going on in Georgia? How you guys doing?" You know, like I said, they were in Russia, teenage kids. They was probably about 5 or 6 years younger than me. And, like I said, benefit of them was just having the experience to come out to America, stay for a while, get a job, make a little money. And, they were some good kids, man. They ended up ultimately buying a few things, sending them back to their younger brother, who was about 12 or so. They ended up buying him a PlayStation and everything. And they bought him an older PlayStation that came with a TV in the box because his family didn't look at TV like that. He said they didn't even have a TV in their home. All they had was books. Their family didn't even believe in watching TV like that because it was too much of a distraction. And so when it came down to it, that's what they did. They mostly just read books, and the brothers were well rounded. They were smart, but they had this little cockiness about them. You know, and we would always tell them that, "Hey man, gotta watch your tone, the way you talk to people around here, because you could easily get in trouble." You know, and a lot of guys, won't be so nice, or you can be approachable when you come out with your little nasty, remarks and stuff like that. Because I've seen people get beat bad, man, but just talking out their face. They, kind of looking at it as, it's not an issue. I talk like this all the time, you know, and people don't understand. Certain areas you talk like that, man, you get hurt. You know what I'm saying? You get put on the ground for that. And a lot of them, they just took it as, "Oh, we're just being mean, and we're trying to, influence them in the wrong way, or treat them or push at them a certain way." Nah, trying to tell you something to help you out. You know, when it come down to it, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, you know, you're coming to another country and you're trying to tell people, the way you talk, and try to say this aggressiveness is common, where you're from, but it's not common over here. And a lot of guys don't get that. You know, a lot of guys nowadays thinking it's common to, crap on the guy that's, as people say, beneath them or not on their level. And I'm like, dude, like like I said earlier, I could talk to a homeless guy. I could talk to, as people call it, mildly retarded, or just not even educated. I could talk to them on both levels, to an extent where I'm trying to help you understand something that I'm saying. You know, have you ever had a guy that was to the point of being somewhat educated, to where they couldn't grasp the conversation that you're saying because they can't understand that certain people live like that, and that poses a big risk when it comes down to it. A lot of people get to the point where they say, well, they can't understand because they don't know that certain people live the way they do, in which, in order for them to, get an understanding, you got to break it down and, give some examples like you're giving a thesis to let them know that, hey, man, this is the way life is. This is the way life goes. You know, shout out to Bitcoin L. And he said when he was younger, he didn't understand how guys would talk about their mothers because he thought mothers were, the best thing since sliced bread. He didn't think any mothers did any wrong due to the fact that how good of a mother his mom was, and probably to an extent how good his friends or certain other people or aunts or whoever women in his family were so good to the point where, like, how could you say that about women? You know, and as you grow, the biggest thing is you grow and you learn. And once you grow and you learn, you have an understanding in which not all is made the same. You have the issue of some people, they deal with things on a daily basis where they have to fight with their mom and go through certain situations. Then you deal with other, individuals in which same issue, they gotta do the whole roping game around and try to get an understanding on, their purpose and things that are pushing in their life. So you got to come to the narrative in which you got to understand what's going on. Give me 5 minutes. Yeah, to pay these commercial bills right quick. Smash. But like I said, man, when it come down to it, it's like, what are we doing in the community? Nobody wants to help each other. You know, I told several guys, hey man, I can get you a job here. A lot of guys didn't believe it. One of my close friends, he really didn't need the job, but he just wanted to make some money. Which I told him, there's nothing wrong with that. I can put you in position to get you a job here. He really didn't need the job, so he took his time to eventually hire somebody else. Had another friend. He said he needed a job. I got him a job. The first thing he did, this guy jumped on him. He said, hey man, when you want me to come over there? Tomorrow? When you want me to come next week? When? I said, shoot, you can come today. Within an hour or so, this guy was at my job, filling out an application, got hired 2 days later, because I was a good employee. They was like, well, you good. So you co-signing him, and this guy's a little older, so I trust him. Because like I said, I deal with a lot of older people, man. I don't deal with too many young guys around my age. We cool, we talk and everything, but it's just more or less I'm just drawn to a lot of older people, man. Kind of work with them, deal with them, and we do certain things. So, hey, at the end of the day, cool. When it come down to it, like I say all the time, you know, we got to start building the community by helping each other. We got to start building the community with working with one another. I understand some guys, can't work with them, can't deal with them. That's understandable to the extent where, hey, if we can't deal with these guys, so be it. You know, everybody, can't be the helper in the community. I mean, everybody can't be helping the community. Because, like, Like the old saying goes, when not everybody's gonna make it to the promised land. There's gonna be a lot of people left behind, and those people who really just don't depend on nobody, don't want to deal with nobody. Guess what? You think somebody gonna save a spot for you? You know, to the extent in which all your intellect and all your smarts, you're just gonna pull up a map and find out where the promised land is. When it comes down to it, man, we here to help each other. That's why when I came up with this name for my YouTube, I got another one that's pretty good. I'm gonna start on another channel to the extent of the same. In which we here is stating that for a reason. It's putting people in the mind frame of, you know, I try to get to a lot of channels as much as possible to show a little love to people because there's a lot of people who start channels with the mindset of helping, in which if they can just get one person to come out there to give them a hand, get on there and you know shoot them with that content. It'll be worthwhile, man. A lot of them you just don't understand. It just just one person will change their whole outlook of their channel. A lot might be trying to, maybe thinking about quitting the channel because they're not getting a lot of people which they want. To the extent, hey, I try to be there for them. What's going on, Ricky? You know, I try to be there to help them out, work with them, give them understanding. Hey, nobody ain't here. I'm here. Like I say, 5 minutes. Okay. Thought I had lost. Thought I had dropped everybody down. I was gonna say, man, thought I end the stream. But when it come down to it, you know, helping the community, being there for people, it ain't hard. You know, we have this whole notion in which, we want to build a community of good people, help people out, let people progress, and have a fighting chance. Because you gotta understand, at the end of the day, ain't nobody giving us no fighting chance. If we don't help each other, nobody's there to help the next man. You know, you got guys that are building things in the back. Like I told you, I just got a proposal about 2 days ago. I didn't even check my email because I've been hitting on this email hard. Guy hit me this morning. He was like, "Hey man, you ain't check your email. I told you I was gonna send him a proposal." I looked at it. Looks nice, you know. And this is a guy like I always try to push him into space to kind of come listen and you know go along with the things that are going on and kind of give some type of input. This guy told me I don't got time for that. I'm out here trying to make money and deal with people who I know. You know, if you put somebody in the mind frame to do things, cool. But other than that, man, I'm so focused on trying to build me and my brand. Unless somebody's coming along with me, I don't got time to make videos and bring people because I'm making my videos right now in life. I'm moving and shaking. That's his that's his favorite term to use. He's looking for movers and shakers. You know, he's always implemented that type of mindset when we always talk. You know, and you're right, when it deals to that crab in the bucket mentality, you know, we're gonna have to deal with that for a minute. You know, get people off of that. We're gonna have to focus back on ourselves. What are we trying to accomplish for the greater good? What are we doing to help each other out? What are we doing to, put some distance between these guys that, essentially is not doing anything for the community, but, out here selling wolf tickets. In the words of Beasley, they're not even selling wolf tickets. They giving them out because nobody wants to take them, you know, to the extent in which, you know, they proclaiming to be the next, hierarchy, somewhat as the boule or something. But I mean, like, we're supposed to be out here, helping the community, helping each other. We got guys back in the day, you know, they built so much for the society at hand, you know. And a lot of guys, they come into space, they only self-motivated, self-driven. They want to preach more or less on how they can change things, you know. And when it comes down to it, I've heard my partner say this to me a couple of times that, you know, you have a villain in your life. You have people that pretty much want to essentially come in and hurt you, see you not succeed, always promoting your failure. That's the villain in your life. They don't want no best for you. They don't want the good for you. All they want to do is see you fall. And when you fall, hoping that they're there to, help you up so you can be dependent on them. When it comes down to it, it's just crazy, man, how a lot of people, live their life, on the backs of seeing people fail. Like I told you, you got older men, older women with that same mentality. What's going on, Kane in the building, the God? What's going on, Ricky? The God, Gold P, the God. But man, you got that same mentality in which these younger people, they're looking up to the elders to give them some type of guidance, and they're failing them horribly. You know, take for instance, you want to look at something. Let's go ahead and look at how the relationship between, mother and father, you know, the grandparents, no respect. When I came up, that was the big thing. You respect people, your elders. I had a situation before where an elder disrespected me. I disrespected them back and hung up in their face. Tried to check me to the extent, you know, I had to talk out with someone else, and they was telling me, damn, like, did I learn any respect due to the fact that when it come down to it, sorry about that, just seeing an accident about to get ready to happen in front of me. But yeah, when it come down to it, a lot of they was looking at it as if, I didn't know any manners because I said something out the way to this older person. But the point of reference I told them, they was like, well, they knew I was raised by my grandmother. And they asked me, well, did your grandma teach you any respect? I was like, yes, she did. But my mother always told me, you respect those who respect you. So to the extent in which you don't have any respect for me, why should I have respect for you? That's when you overstep the boundaries, but you want me to have compassion because why? You're an elder. You know, that's not how things work. When it come down to it, if you want respect, you gotta also give it. to the point in which, someone's being disrespectful or rude. It's very easy to put them in that mind frame and just let them know. Watch your tone and be mindful of your manners. Simple as that. Some of them have to be reminded. For the ones that just don't have to be reminded, guess what the best thing to do? No longer deal with them. Don't deal with them. Don't talk to them. Because in most situations, that's going to escalate into a fight or an altercation in which someone's going to get hurt to the extent in which, you know, you're providing, being discourteous to someone. It's not going to end. It's not going to end well. It's not. Trust me. To the point where we out here trying to work with each other, and you got other people are just trying to get by, or better yet, just only trying to do for self. You know, and that's one of the big tickets we have when it comes to being great. Being great, in most cases, with people, is doing everything by themselves, not not having an apprentice, not trying to help someone and guide someone with you. You know, like I say, if you don't have kids, I understand that. Help the next generation. Work with a nephew, a niece. Let's say you don't have no brothers and sisters. You don't have no cousins. You don't have no young man in your neighborhood or something that you can work with that will help. That will help. That'll be helpful to give them a little guidance to work with them. You know, push them down the right path. Let them know that everything that they're going through can be easily, taken care of by them putting in some type of work, putting in some type of study, you know, figuring things out. It's very seldom that we get a lot of men that, see people in situations and you just say, man, I want them to do a little better. I want them to actually succeed a little better in life, you know. So I'm gonna go above and beyond. Because nowadays, a lot of these guys are all for self. You know, I've made $1 million in the street. I'm not gonna tell you how I made $1 million because why? Then I won't be the only millionaire. You know, if I got a good job and it's paying me well, I'm not gonna put you on in my job because I don't want you to floss like me. That's the mentality that we're facing with these younger generational guys. You know, they don't want to help the next man because if they help the next man will be like them. They want the next man to, fall on their face and not have any, kind of dealings to the point where when it comes down to it, hey, you're not supposed to be up here with me. I'm the only one supposed to be here. I'm the only one supposed to be doing this. You know, there's nobody to, be doing this just like me. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. You know, to an extent, guys are beneath me. Why you want to be like me? Why you want to be better than me? You know, and it puts a lot of people in that mindset in which, you know, I got the juice and I ain't sharing. You know, I got the ball. It's mine. I'm not letting nobody play. You gotta listen to me. If you don't listen to me, you ain't up under my ruler. I'm not letting you get into nothing. So when it comes down to it, a lot of people they get this notion in which, you know, hey, I'm better than you because I put in a little work. I did this and that, and to the extent why you think you deserve to be like this. Drop that link in the chat again. Oh, there we go. Swoop like me. What's going on? Thank you for stopping by. And everybody, if you could hit that like, you know, push this channel up. I hit 100 this weekend, so trying to hit the rest of my going and knock it on out to where my channel can bubble up and do its thing. But to the extent of everybody on the channel, man, I appreciate y'all, coming in, viewing me. I'm about to go ahead and cut off in a few minutes. But like I want to say, to build a community, man, we gotta help each other. We gotta look out for each other. Gotta work with each other. A lot of people, they don't got that mindset in which they want to be in that frame. All they want to do is get successful, get themselves to a certain extent, and for the most part, screw everybody else. It's all about me. Hold on, a little mic cover, man. Fell off. All right. Yeah. Got my little pop filter for my mic. But like I said, what are we gonna do in that scenario? Which, you know, everybody's out for self. Nobody wants to help each other out. We gotta have a way. Boy, I really want y'all to see this. I'm at work, but it's some crazy. I'm just gonna let you know. I just seen the lady. She just pulled up in a hearse. Granted that she has a flower business, I can give her that, but I don't understand the hearse. But but yeah, man. You know, we gotta build a community. We gotta, you know, help each other out. You know, everybody's not gonna have the same outcome. Most people they're at a point of their life where the older they got, they didn't do what it takes to, set things the right proper way. So they're failing in life. You know, at a young age, got out there in the streets, messed around, played, did what you did. You know, I know a guy older right now. He told me he's not even supposed to be alive. His whole thing was back in the day, to an extent to where a lot of those young guys, they already had it in them that, that they was gonna die at a certain age. So if you live to be, 30 and 40, something doing after the crack era, you made it. Especially if you was out there slanging and you was in the street. Most of those guys had a low percentile chance of living and surviving during those days. Because why? The drug trade, all that stuff was strong into the streets. A lot of those guys, they had the mentality to get it all they can get, cross over whoever, just to get to the money. To the extent they got older, a couple of them went to jail, came out. Now they didn't die in prison and then, so what are they doing with their life? A lot of them don't know. I know a couple of biggest drug dealers that went to my high school end up being trash men, working for the city or something. There wasn't no shade towards them, but they started doing a little better with their life to the point where, you know, they got their life together. What's going on, Gold P?
Hey, what's happening? Peace to the chat as well. What's happening? Good morning, or some people afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon for us over here on the East Coast.
Okay.
But yeah,
Mhm.
what's going on, Chris Morgan? First time seeing you, but go ahead and you can go ahead and cook on up, Gold Professor.
Well, I just caught you in your broadcast, so I'm the title is Manosphere Greatness. So I would humbly ask for your context because I hadn't really got a chance to listen what the context of it is.
Well, I basically was focusing more on the guys that are in the space that are trying to, you know, let's just say for a lesser word, trying to crap on people to let them know as far as their achievements and what they're trying to do for their life, it's not going to amount to anything because they're not just as good as they are, you know. And a lot of guys have that mindset of the community of instead of trying to help one another, build each other better, kind of build a better society of men. If you mess up one thing in life, you're stupid. You fall off the horse, you'll never be able to ride again. And then to the ones that are trying to help the community, they're being looked at as do boys because no one's never going to do right. So why even try? You know,
Hmm. Well, well, what I would say to that, and to speak to the context of what you just said, um, essentially you're speaking to the dysfunction of
exactly.
us.
Yeah, within the space of the other men.
You're speaking to the dysfunction, hence why we have to heal before we build, right? If we're constantly in dysfunction, whether it be subconsciously or consciously, directly or indirectly, um, we have to work towards uh, becoming less dysfunctional. I don't think we'll ever be completely without dysfunction, but if we can manage the dysfunction to where we can deal with our issues and help each other uh, through the dysfunction, then we can make steps. But if nobody is willing to um, depart from the dysfunction, then we continue the circle, the cycle. We continue that. And, when we continue that, then uh, it becomes uh, somewhat of a normal picture, you know, like like we see a lot of in a lot of spaces. They have a lot of numbers because people are in tune to the dysfunction, all the gossip and all the hollering and tripping and all that. People are in tune to that, so you know it's looked at as a normal thing to be a part of. Seems to me. So if you notice, uh, when you're working towards not being dysfunctional, well, you don't get as much airplay, right? You get everybody going against what you're talking about.
That's true. Hey, Kareem, how's it going?
Hey, Kareem, Miss Kareem
Hey,
Henry.
good af-
Hey,
hi guys. Good afternoon, Go Professor. Good afternoon, Sheed. I just wanted to come on real quick just to commend you. You guys, when I listen to your broadcasts, you guys are always being positive and always doing your best to uplift this community. And I just want to say, as a listener, and I support both of you guys' channels, that continue doing it. Forget those people, forget those naysayers. There's always going to be people who are very negative and always want to just be negative and don't want to be uplifting. And sometimes we need the upliftment. And one thing I appreciate about you, especially Sheet, is your commentary is always fair. You always give both sides. A lot of times, as a female, I support the channels because I my dad is black, my brother is black. I'm a black person, and I'm for black people. But I feel like you know, I know you're gonna say, "Ooh," to your song, but I feel
Nah,
like
the women,
it's
the
a
women get a
bit
break.
negative. Ah, I
I
know.
said, nah, the
I feel
women get
like
a break.
it's, I feel like we could. I feel like, okay, yes, we know that black women do f things. We know that, but there's some dudes that are doing the same thing, and I feel like they just solely focus on black women every time. Like, I get it, I understand that it's a space for men, and men are going to talk about what's going on, and like I said, it's everyone is entitled to feel and say what's the truth is, yes, but just focusing on the negativity all the time and not trying to come up with solutions and things to make things better is not going to help. It's just going to be an echo chamber. We want to uplift, right? So where are the solutions? Like, I mean, sometimes I appreciate that Rogers do have some solutions, so I like listening to his channel because a lot of people that come on, some people do give solutions, but in other spaces, it's just negativity, negativity.
Yeah, and that's true. Shout out to Shango. What's going on? Yeah, a lot of times I listen to a lot of people in the space, and it's confusing to. We have this big echo chamber of, okay, you don't like the women. Okay, we're showing plans and things to change where you don't like the women. But when it comes down to it, like I say, with a lot of guys who want to get married or be in relationships, like, you gotta heal. You gotta stop going through this trauma, getting over in the space, yelling and talking about the women. And I always say that to when women come on the panel, men are quick to pull out the sword. I've been on women's panel just listening in the back, or may even say some or two in the comment box, and they always say when it come down to it, hey, what what are you doing? You know, and like I tell them, I'm just over here just listening. Because a lot of guys they don't want to listen to the women. They say that the women, they have nothing to say. They always bashing us, but I'm like, don't we talk about them? But no, see, it's different. So when it come down to it, it is what it is.
Well,
I just
I'm
feel
gonna.
like, sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Professor.
Well, I'm gonna just say to that. I'm gonna give pushback now. Uh, you know, we in this space. Um, mind you, there are brothers who are looking to. They're learning their voice now. If we're to speak to uh, what our position has been, well, our voice is underdeveloped. So when we go to speaking on it, using our voice, it comes out in ways that uh, may hit feelings, hit people's hearts, may hit people's uh, frequencies different, and they're still really getting it. So when we hear these uh, brothers in these space go to using their voice and try to develop it, and then you have people who come over and attempt to derail that. Well, that's where I find problem at. Okay, because if you go over to their spaces in which they've had this voice, we're speaking of the women now. They've had this voice for the longest time since childhood. Now, we can't just focus on this space here. We're looking outside of this space. Because a lot of women are dealing with young boys growing up. Now and you know, where young boys up to adulthood are in a position where they have to accept accountability. They're constantly ran down on take responsibility. Now, when we go to talking about okay, we're accepting responsibility, saying, okay, we own that, okay, okay, but yet it's only one side of it, then that's where the problem lies. When the other side of it doesn't want to take accountability, because there's been studies now that speaks to the lack of accountability of that woman. Now, mind you, I'm not one to um, rail against women, because uh, she has her experiences just as much as we do. But the when her behavior isn't in put into accountability, then there's a problem there. You can't say, black man, take accountability, in which we as black men go at each other about taking accountability. But you can't have the woman come over and say, yeah, you guys take accountability, and not take accountability for what her behavior is. See, that's where it lies.
No, I agree, Gold Professor. I agree 100% that we should be accountable for our behaviors. My only criticism is solutions. I don't feel like, yes, everyone should have a voice and speak to their experiences, but if you just do all you're doing is that and not having solutions, how is the problem? How are we gonna get better? Are we just
Okay.
gonna just all complain and no one is gonna try to make anything better, or everyone's just going to be in their corners and talk bad about each other constantly and just, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Everyone should speak. Like, I, you're saying that children, young boys don't have a voice from they're young. I've never experienced that in my opinion. Growing up, I boys always talked and you know boys always said what they was going on in their feelings. I mean, I know boys are more like if something is bothering them, they'll probably fight more than like speak out like females. Females, that's what we do, we speak. That's our, I guess, our feminine thing is to speak. But to say that we can't criticize um anyone when they're not doing when we feel like they're doing something wrong, or I don't think that's fair. I think we should always be able to criticize when we see something is wrong, and there's nothing wrong with criticism. We just, criticism is to make us better. It's not to offend anybody really, and it's not to be negative. It's to actually say, okay, I hear you. What are the solutions now? That's my point of view from listening to everyone in this space.
Okay. Uh, I'm not in disagreement with the search for solutions, right? I'm not in disagreement with you on that. I agree. We have to push for solutions. I agree with that. Now, here's my pushback. My pushback is, when we do give solutions or work towards solutions, then someone is not happy with how the solution is delivered or searched, or how it's said. uh, how someone
Someone.
is uh, you know having in wrapped in emotional chaos when it comes. Now, you said you haven't experienced it personally, but I'm not speaking on a personal level. I'm speaking as uh, on a grander level here. When you do the research and the studies on the setup of the unit, okay, we look at what takes place in the unit. Now, if the unit is dysfunctional or upside down, then solutions become a problem, because uh, the uh, people in charge of that unit desires to keep it that way. They think it's the correct thing, which goes back to what I was speaking to before, the dysfunction. We're caught up in a dysfunctional type of unit. whether that's a single unit or a dual unit.
I agree on that part. I definitely agree with you on the dysfunction that our community is facing. It's just it's hard to not have solutions. That's my thing. But I hear what you're saying. I understand completely.
Good morning, everyone who come to the panel. Good morning.
Vivian, you want to weigh in before Ricky's?
Yeah, let me weigh in. Um, Hello everyone on the panel.
Good
Um,
morning.
my
Hello, how
sister,
are you?
good, thank you. I heard you talk about solutions, and I am a big proponent of solutions. I always say if you have a problem, come up with some type of solution. It might not be the right solution, but come up with a solution and try to implement it. My thing is, um, young men, in my experience, in all my years of teaching, I started in 1999 in Washington, D.C. I've taught in rural Georgia, I've taught in rural South Carolina. What I found is our young men don't have a voice. They're not given a space to exercise their voice um, and develop their voice positively. If I'm making any sense, my solution to that was I got older men, starting with my dad, men that I knew in the church, men that I knew um, were not men that I knew that had been in jail, and I allowed them to come into my classroom and give those young men the real skinny of it all, good, bad, and indifferent. The men that were in church, they were, encouraging the young. And my father and my mom will have been married 65 years. They've been married 65 years. So my dad was there to show the young men this is how you can maintain longevity in a relationship. This is how you take care of your family. Because a lot of my students, male students especially, they said they never seen their fathers. They never seen a father interact with his daughters and sons. So my dad became a grandfather to a lot of children who didn't have fathers. Um, so I just encourage each and every one of you to grab a young brother, grab a young sister, and just show them. I mean, I went as far as now, this wouldn't happen today if I was teaching, but when I taught in DC, I had students, they would come over and do sleepovers. So they got to see the family unit in action. Now, it wasn't just me, it was my parents. They lived in the house with me, and they got to see, I had male teachers there for the male students, I had female teachers there to help with the female students. But they got to see, like, camping sleepover things where they got to see adults functioning in a in a capacity to where, and we gave them time to get their voice. We gave them time to learn their voice. You know, we would separate in groups. Men would take the boys over here and they would have their discussions. Females would have the discussion with the female students. And we would vice versa. Because sometimes males need to see a female that's not belittling them. Because I had a lot of male students, their parents would belittle them and degrade them. You're nothing. You're a B and this and that and the third. So it was up to us to encourage them young men to show them that every female doesn't act like that and every female is not going to degrade you. So that is my thought. I don't know.
What's going on, Ricky?
Hey, peace to the gods and goddesses. How are you guys this fine day?
Peace, brother.
Living.
Peace, peace. Good morning. Good
Yes, sir.
morning.
How are
Every day,
you?
every day is a good morning. Um,
Hello.
but my take on it is this: the real problem is that us as a people and us as a nation, not even say people, a nation, we have to do two things, right? We gotta take accountability and we gotta forgive each other, right? There's no forgiveness in our circles. Now, people say it, they say they practice it, but we don't practice it as a nation. We have, like Kareem said, men talking about women, but men mess up too. We gotta forgive ourselves and understand the ways that we've been taught, the ways that we've been programmed were one not for us to begin with in the first place, right? We can't keep holding grudges against each other because that builds spite, and we need to learn to remove egos from our personal and family relationships, right? Everybody walking around, living their relationships in fear of getting hurt, fear of getting left, fear of getting cheated on, fear of getting financially ruined. You can't go into a relationship thinking of the worst case scenario, right? So we can't continue to, okay, black women do A, B, C, D. Okay, let's forgive them for that. Communicate and learn to understand, hey, this is what your man needs out of you, right? Black men do A, B, C, D, E. Okay, some do, some don't. We forgive you, right? How can we fix it? What do I need? What do you need out of that man for him to make you a competent wife, right? The solution is simple, guys. Is families. That's where it all starts. Everything we go through right now is due to programming to destroy families. It all starts with family. Get our families together. Ladies, no matter what y'all say, you laying down with a man, and when it comes down to it, it's your choice to have a child, right? We have no say except shooting the club up. That's the only say we have on you having a child is shooting your club up, right? So if you choose to have a child, make sure you vet a man responsibly, fellas. If you choosing to mate with a woman, you need to vet that woman responsibly. This single parenting thing's not working. It's not working, right? That's not to say a man or a woman can't raise a child on their own, but hey, you could drive your car with your feet. That don't mean you should be doing it. We need to get back to families, big mamas, whatever you want to call it, without, like my brother Gold P say, without the dysfunction. But to do that, you got to address it, whether it's with the black female or the black male. So get egos out of the way, listen to the truth and accept it. Remember, guys, there's no your truth. There's the truth and then there's the lie. Gray area is where lies play in. And I relinquish the mic.
Well, uh, I am not a disagreement about that. What I would say is that um, we instead of the truth, we 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 say we acknowledge uh, what is fact, the difference between fact and truth, because people always have their truth, but the facts never change. What is a fact? A fact is something that cannot be changed, rearranged, or disengaged. It is a fact. That's what it is. The truth can be changed, rearranged, and disengaged. Okay. So when we speak of the unit, in which I speak of all the time, the unit, well, what is the fact versus the truth about the unit? Well, the fact is that uh, the man and woman, uh, the universe has garnered this relationship to be. Okay. This is how life continues on with a man and woman. This is a fact. Now, the truth of it is that, well, people are going to have their idea of what the relationship will be. Okay. Now that is the truth about it. The fact is that we belong to with each other to continue on uh, the development of the population, the continuance of population. The truth is we struggle with what the relationship between us will be. This incorporates dysfunction because we didn't really learn what that meant. Well, let me change that. Let me take that back. At one point, we did have it, but then the powers that be decided to continue the uh, dysfunction of the unit for their benefit. See, if you keep us in dysfunction, then others benefit. This is uh, my perception of it, my perspective of it. So, and I humbly say we have to have an understanding of, you know, the degrees of history. You know, if you don't have the, some perspective of what happened in history, then how can you build on to today? How can you solve the dysfunction or work towards managing the dysfunction? As I said, I don't believe that we'll be completely rid of the dysfunction. All we can do is manage it to the best of our ability. Hence, why we must heal uh, before we build. We have to, work towards that. Now, whether it's, you know, us on this panel talking with each other and working towards, I mean, we take small steps. It only takes a small part to move nations. I've said that. Only takes small parts. It doesn't take the masses. It takes only a small part to move the masses. And perhaps that starts here with us. But we have to be able to work towards our differences and work work through the dysfunctional energies that we all have and have been exposed to work forward in this. So I I agree with Ricky Williams as far as, yeah, we have to say, okay, um, we acknowledge this, we acknowledge that, we take accountability. Yes, okay. My pushback is that when when we work towards solutions and derailment is placed uh, on the solution because people think that's not going to work. They're so wrapped in the dysfunction, they think the dysfunction is functional. So uh, they lay out all these distractions and derail the solution. So that's, I mean, we can build on this all day. Oh,
So, this is Vivian. My challenge to each one of us, and I'm saying us, me included, I would humbly challenge every one of us here in the chat, here on the panel, to start working towards the solution. If it's just one step at a time. I once was asked, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that is my declaration here to each and every one of you, that I'm here to build on helping these young people learn. Now, how are, I guess the next question is, how do we teach young people what the proper unit looks like what it feels like, what it reacts like, and what it should be.
Well, I'm going to say I'm Go Professor and I'm vegan. We gonna go with apple. It's more digestible, you know. Yeah. Uh, uh, we to work on this the solution. Um, we have to uh, dismantle the chaos. You know, you have to dismantle the chaos to get to the solution. Now, if we're constantly in chaos about the subject and uh, we have all these delusions of grandeur going on, it's hard to get to the solution. So uh, we have to unravel the chaos to get to the core of it. Now, we've seen in these spaces that everybody has their take, okay? And which I've said, many of us are not going to get to the answer the same way. But if we can get on a page of, okay, uh, here's the analogy. The analogy is we're trying to make it to a point in town. Well, there are so many ways to get to that point in town. Some some roads are shorter than others. Some roads are rougher than others. Some roads are closed. We have to redirect. But the point is, we're on that path to get there. Okay, we're gonna run into uh, some streets that have some big potholes in it, but we're getting there. Okay, so the subject have to be okay. The question would be, well, where where is a main problem? Well, a main problem is with the men, the boys, the black boys and men. That's the problem. That's, in my humble opinion, that's a problem because you you need the boys and the men to do what? Continue to build and be the caregivers of their unit. If the man is not there, the boy is not being shown how to take care of his unit, then the problem is going to continue to persist. We have to we have to remember I spoke about the pattern of what's happening with boys and young adult men, even elderly men. We have to, if they're the builders of the unit, the holders of the unit, then we have to address what the issues are with the men. So the men has to be taken care of. The men have to be addressed.
But I wanted to say something too. Basically, what Ricky was talking about. When it comes to an extent to where the truth needs to be let out, no matter if it comes from a man or a woman, truth is truth. And a lot of guys can't take that. And to case in point, I was on Platinum's channel and we was dealing with Topaz.
Uh-huh.
Topaz, she pretty much, I think I told you about this. Topaz had talked about an issue with, you know, men men being led by women. And the guys, kind of furious at her, talking about men should never be led by women. And she says she understands that, but when it comes down to it, you know, what woman is going to take the leadership of a man and he's not doing what he's supposed you know, to the extent what Ricky was talking about, vetting process. A lot of women don't go through that process and they want to use the excuse of, me being young and dumb is the reason why I'm dealing with a man who's not, pretty much taking care of me and my family. And to the extent in which Topaz told the guys that, I came on, said the same exact thing. I said, if a woman is leading a man who doesn't know what he's doing, she's not going to go into a burning building with him. She's going to say, no, let's go this way. This is a better way to get out of this situation. And they was like, yeah, yeah, that's right. And I started laughing, and Topaz said, I said the same exact thing. I said, exactly. But you got to understand, it's coming from a man, not from a female. And all the guys kind of got quiet for a little bit to the extent she said the same exact thing. I'm in the like, what's going on? That's why I ended up jumping on the panel, just, relatively saying the same thing she said, because it's true. Most women do deal with men that are not on this level of knowledge and understanding to which, they seen some type of potential in this guy or just thought he was cute to an extent, whatever women deal with when they want to deal with these men. To the point where if she really starts to understand he doesn't know what he's doing and maybe he needs some type of guidance and kind of show him the way, not to the point where she's building him, with this whole build a man stuff that women talk about. I mean, just some people need guidance to the point where if you push somebody in the right direction, they'll go out there and seek the knowledge in which they need, from other men. Even if a woman is there, kind of showing him simple things as finance, tallying his money up, making sure he's being accountable of his books and stuff like that, to the degree where he runs against, some situation, she helped him out in that process on learning that, which he would learn from anybody else. But the point of it is, she's only guiding him to be better and helping himself. In certain instances, you can have a man that does that, ultimately has a family with that woman, stays with her, and builds herself to an extent where women, they do have those situations, and a man is starting escalating, she might get, somewhat of, discouraged because she felt as if she built this man to be submissive to her with an understanding of he's learning stuff, but don't get too high on the hog where you can outshine the master. And that's what a lot of times we get in relationships, to the point where a person don't know something. They want to pull out the cards to where they want to say, well, you know, I've taught you this. I've taken you so far. You should be, bow down to me like a master or something, to the extent, no. Both of you guys are at the same level, and to the extent one gets higher than the other, like I said, when the man is guiding the woman, he's helping her to, look for a purpose in her life as well as his. You're working on that thing together, in which, you're guiding her in the right direction, and when she's taking your leadership, you both can, the old cliche of having a happy family, to the extent where two people trying to be the leaders of the house, like they say, you only can serve one master.
I am going to say, first off, I like to say, peace to beach. What's up? This beach is better. OG with it. And to those others in the chat who have come into the chat, you are right. There are some things that we have to go back to. We got to learn that although the woman is in the house, and sometimes it might be times that she do know more than a man, but it's up to us to help them and build them. And I guess I'm at a point now in my life, having dealt with young men in the classroom, I just believe that we need to grab them at a young age and show them that uh the way to go. I just believe that that's a solution, one of the solutions. Grab those young men, catch them before they grow.
I would agree. In which I've been. That's what I was just speaking to. The boys. I mean, we don't have to go far back. back to the 80s, mid 70s to 80s and up. We seen what happened. Okay, we seen this. This is not the 1900s or you know like 1900 or 1800. We're talking about the 80s, 90s. It's not far. It's not far ago. It's not long ago. Okay, and I'm saying that we've seen what has happened, and the solution is to get those get the boys right. Now, you get the boys right, you get the young men right, then that unit will stand up. Uh, this is this is what it is. There's no way around that. You have the boys right, they will hold it. I've said this many times over. The men, I'll speak the black man. You guys know what it is when it come to me. And is the rib cage. She's it doesn't diminish her importance. She is well important to the unit. Yes. But once that heartbeat stops, then the function of the ribs cease to exist. We have to keep the heartbeat going. And this is why men need to address men. Okay? Men need to address men because men will help keep that heartbeat going. We have to deal with our issues. We have to deal with what it is that's going on with us. This is important. We understand that. We have to we have to deal. We have to address each other. It doesn't mean we have to be discourteous to each other, even though sometimes some brothers need to experience some heavy discourtesy towards them because they be a talking and so far out of pocket until we have to say, man, your dysfunction is so far gone, we can't bring you back. Some people will have to be left behind. Some men may have to be left behind. Okay, but the solution to this is to get the men right, get the boys right. That's the solution. Okay, now how we get there is the question. That's the question.
Well, it starts with the men that we have now picking better families, you know, in a sense to where we're dealing with a lot of women, to a certain degree. If women haven't got themselves together and, haven't been a certain way or aspect of, growth shown in their life, why deal with them? Same thing with the men. Women should take on that same approach with the men. You know, if they choose to deal with a man that looks a certain way or carries themselves in a certain way as far as the money aspect, that's on them. You know, same thing I do with the men and the women. When it come down to it, women shouldn't be out here dating men. To a certain extent. I mean, preference is cool, but the point of it is, if he's an airhead that looks good, you chose to deal with that airhead that looks good. So if you have a baby by him, who fault is that? Same thing with the men. Men, we have issue with the way women, act. And if we chose to deal with that woman that acts a certain way, and shout out to Real Deal Finance, what's going on? And if we choose to deal with them in a certain way, who fault is that? We've accepted the responsibility. Once we take on that woman, no matter her looks or, mindset, you chosen to take on that woman in sight of dealing with her with the potential of having a child that she will be ultimately probably a great mother. Because otherwise, why would you even deal with her? Just for sex? Go find someone that you can have sex with that potentially can be a wife in the near future versus, just messing around. I mean, this whole game with the women, having the whole phase and then the guys are coming it in saying they just getting it in, it's the same thing. You know, they say you put lipstick on a pig is the same thing. Men have issue with women wilding out, but we seen yesterday on Rogers panel of men that do the same thing, wild out, and they look fault in it.
Well, I'm gonna give you pushback, brother. I'm gonna give you some pushback now. The pushback is it goes back to what I originally said. Uh, the 80s and 90s were not long ago. We've seen what decisions were being made. Okay, so we with those decisions that were being made, and we know that there are uh, external systems that uphold those decisions. Okay, now with those external systems upholding these decisions that were made in the 80s and 90s. Okay, the young boys have been programmed a certain way, exposed to things more often than usual, to certain things. Therefore, they grow up in these spaces. They grow up in this era. We see it now to where uh, they are uh, enacting what they were programmed to do. So our problem is that we have to engage in deprogramming what has been instilled. Once again, are we going to be able to completely delete the dysfunction? No. We work towards managing it.
Yeah, it's to the extent we can manage the dysfunction at all times, but it's gonna come a point when people are just gonna necessarily just have to take fault for their actions and come with the approach of making things right. I mean, I can say that, you know, I was taunted of $100 bills at my job where, no one would knew that I will be taking the money in which the job is actually planting the money. But it's up to me to have that decision not to take it. Even if I'm hungry at home with no food and things, it's up to me.
Okay. Well, uh, once again, we deal with uh, the situation of what is going on with uh, the boys and young men and what they've been exposed to and continually are being. I spoke to this. There is a pattern
Yeah,
that is in full swing. Who
Mm-hmm.
does that involve? The
yeah,
boys.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It
Now,
does.
the boys and young men are the foundation of the unit. Now, they're making decisions because they're saying, look, we've since childhood we've been forced to take accountability for everything. Okay? Now, this is what we receive for taking accountability. Well, now we have to make some decisions. So men has to get at them. We have to men deal with men. Men build men. That's what it is. There's no way around that. Men build men. So when we go to talking about it and addressing things, well, that's what we got to work on.
Yeah, that's true. Shout out to Kareem Henry. Sorry about that. You can come back up whenever you want to. Not a problem. And
I'm gonna
reigning
drop off
woman,
now. Oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm gonna drop off now. I was actually in the middle of doing some things around the house, but I'm still listening. And I want to wish peace and blessings to everyone in the chat. And you guys have a prosperous day.
Okay,
All
Miss
right.
Vivian Jennings. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. Underrated
And I would like to
doctrines.
say, reigning woman, reigning woman, reigning woman.
Oh,
What's going on, underrated?
well, yeah,
Underrated
I
doctrines.
leave
The
that
number
alone.
one
Leave that
grinder.
alone. What's good? What's good, brothers? That's good. That's good.
Peace, brother.
Peace to you, to your families, and everybody.
Yes,
This
sir.
is this is a great conversation that I will really gonna like go first set like go first set. We gotta have a conversation because it seems that I'm not gonna say it seems that, but I know in these spaces, it's not being talked about the destruction of the young brothers and our boys. It seems that to me. I said to me what I see. They talking as a hobby, but they not really about that. And I'm talking about brothers. But for me, it's like, are you with saving our boys or you're not? Are you with saving our younger brothers or you're not? It has to come to that. We got to stop treating what's going on as just like some karaoke thing. We just sing along and that's it. And and trust and believe. I don't make no mistakes when I said that I'm gonna do whatever I can to be there for our people. There's no ifs and buts about it. But at the same time, I'm gonna do whatever I can to be there for our young brothers and our boys. And I'm not gonna apologize for that. And so this got to go on. It has to be a movement. It has to be something that is going to be that's going to be substance. Something that has to be moving in a way that is going to be meaningful application advocate. It cannot be a slow hand. It cannot be slow walking anymore. It cannot be we take action when it's convenient. Nah, I'm the number one grinder. I'm not rolling with that. It's got to be progress. It's got to be progress. Our brothers, we got to be there for each other, like brother Sheed is. What brother She said, like an hour ago. I full agree with that. We got to be there, no matter what. Whatever the brother needs, we got to be there. And then if a brother that's stepping up and help another brother, pay homage to that brother. It don't cost you nothing. So again, we gotta better ourselves to be a better brother to each other. See, I could talk like this because there's a few brothers has reached out to me. What right fact, two of them is on the two of them is on the panel. We talk. They make sure I'm okay. I make sure they okay. If we say that we as brothers we gonna be there for each other, we gotta be there for all levels, not just certain levels that some brothers is talking about, or certain ones that they feel comfortable with. You cannot
Yeah.
say that you exercise a brotherly love of some, but you let another black man falter. Nah, That's not acting accordingly of the brotherhood of us as black men. It's not. And some of us we gotta stop fooling ourselves thinking that's the norm because it's not.
Yeah.
And
And
I'll fall back on that.
when it comes down to it, you got to start at home and spread abroad. And this is the key thing that a lot of men, they want to put on and kind of make themselves being the top dog outside of the house. But you got your kids suffering. That's why I told them I'm not ashamed of telling people that I've gotten my kids tutors through this pandemic. They're not learning at the speed in which I want them to learn, and the studies are getting low. In which me being the father, that's what I should be doing, helping my kids at all costs. I got the money, why not? You know, to an extent, helping them better in life because my goals for them are high. I expect them to almost damn near be the president of the United States. That's the highest goal I want to expect for them. You know, to the point
Well,
where a lot of people, go ahead, go.
well, hey, look, the title of this broadcast is Manosphere Greatness, right? So what when we break it down, well, it says man in this sphere and our greatness. Now, what is our greatness? Well, the greatness is to come to some resolve in how we build men. Men build men. I maintain that. Men build men. So our greatness is in that. What are we gonna do to build each other? We have to heal before we build. So that's where our focus is. Will there be derailments? Will there be distractions? Sure, yes. But our goal is to stay focused. What is in the 9 laws of self-governance? Rule number 1, discipline. We have to implement discipline to stay focused on the goal, the direction. Men build men. That's where we at.
Mm-hmm.
She dropped off. She dropped off, but I'm sure he'll be back. Uh,
Yeah.
but underrated. I mean, am I
Yes, sir.
correct
No,
about that?
not at all.
Me-
You stick yo,
Men
you start.
building men.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. We got to start take value within ourselves and build each other. It's not like have women to validate us. Nah, I don't need a woman to validate me. I really don't. No, got to validate ourselves. Now, I'm saying if it comes down to get into a relationship with a woman, and then and then we start a family. That's totally different. That's totally different conversation. But we gotta validate ourselves, and we gotta validate each other as men. We gotta make sure that we good.
Yeah, I would say, uh, the woman is an extension of the man. She's an external part of the man, right? She's our extension. She's the beauty of us, right? So when you look at the man, you look at the man and you look at how he's built. Now, if he's built dysfunctional, then you look at his woman. Well, she's got a choice to make. Either she's going to work on his dysfunction, or she's going to be in dysfunction with him. Now, if she's in dysfunction with him, then we're looking at a man that is built on nothing but dysfunction and lives in it. Now, if she's trying to put his dysfunction on a page of manageability, then we're looking at a man who's open to getting himself together, and he's looking at avenue. I've never said that a woman couldn't help build that man, get that man together. There are many women who help get that man together. My issue is when she think that she's the man. Women don't build men. Men build men. She helps get that man in order. This is why when you hear men go into uh, the woman is everything and has it all correct, you have to question what was his upbringing, because I maintain, and I'm welcome to correction, but I say uh, men build men. Women don't build men. No, men have to address men. Okay, and when men address men, uh, the it carries more weight. Okay, I'll put it this way: you ever look at the family unit? Now you have the man and the woman, right? Now the woman, she will constantly tell that boy, yell at him, do all this. But then she say, well, I'm gonna tell your dad. Your daddy been, and then your daddy come in and say a few words. that's men building men. And if I'm wrong in that, then correct me.
Yeah, that's facts. I mean, like I told you, there's been situations with my wife where, she told the kids to get up, get ready for school, and I don't even have to say much, but hey, as soon as they hear my voice, I hear the water running, I hear them in there brushing their teeth, hear the feet running around, putting on the clothes, throwing the shoes on, and, you know, getting ready to go, because this is around the time they were doing the work from home. So, they know it's not a haste to get up and go catch the bus. So it's not a big push as if they were going in there and just starting up that computer. At one point my son, he came in there one day, he said, well, I'm gonna brush my teeth on my break. I said, what did you say? He said, well, I want to brush my teeth on my break. I said, no, you want to brush your teeth now. I said, that's nasty. Why would you wait? He looked at me, went over, went in the bathroom and brushed his teeth. And like I told him, like, were you accustomed to doing this because I'm not around, or your mom let you do this? Well, she don't know, you know. And like I told my wife, make them get up, do the things that they need to do before they go to school.
Well, once again, hey, I was watching one video. You guys might have seen it. It was this young man and this older man, right? And they had the gloves on, and the older man came out, said, "Okay, okay, young brother." He said the epithet, but I'm just cleaning it up. But he said, "Okay, come on here, come on." And the older man, bow, popped him and put him on his butt, right? Now, the lesson in that is, I mean, he didn't go at him in the way of, I'm gonna continually, uh, you know, beat you down type energy. No, no, no. It was, look, Men build men here. You're gonna stand up and get it right. It isn't just the physical aspect, it's the mental, spiritual, and emotional aspect of it. Only men can do this, right? Men do this. And all I'm saying is when men implement these type of lessons, okay? I'm not advocating physical now. I'm just speaking to a video that I've seen, and I'm just speaking to something that men deal with. Men do. Okay. We don't have to always go on that page. But my point is when men are building men, then the unit stands up. And the extension of you, which is your woman and children, will fall under that unit and stand up right along with that man. I maintain that you have to build the boys and the men for a family to stand up. You have to. Now, if I'm incorrect, but I constantly say I am not above reproach. I am not above correction. I welcome the correction.
Yeah. I mean, in most cases, when it comes to the women, you know, a woman can only, you know, kind of model herself in which she would think certain things a man would do. Because I've seen it in certain cases to where, you know, women that grab their sons, you a boy, you're not supposed to cry. You know, be tough, be a man. Same thing that, a man would say to his son. In cases where, kid has done something wrong, you punching him in his chest, hitting him in his arm. In most cases, what guys do, she's only modeling certain things, but she can't model certain after effects where the guy comes and hugs his son and tell him, you know, no, you weren't supposed to do this. I have the lecture. You know, I want you to be a man like me. She can only say, I want you to be a great man like your father or your granddad. She can't say, I want you to be a man like me because she's a woman. To a certain extent. Like I said, I don't take that from women actually raising men because I've seen some women raise men to be, nice men. But in the same sense, they had some men implemented in their child's life as well to the point where they can say they raised that child on their own. But as far as the mentoring, they had a little help, even to the point where a woman didn't have her son mentored to a certain extent. Why? Why wouldn't you want him around men grooming him? And there'll be a reason for that. Hey, Toya, how you doing? There'll be a reason that a woman don't want a man around her child, especially a boy. Don't want to groom him in a certain way. Don't want him to, kind of build himself in a certain manner in which, the same process you should have been vetting the dad, you need to vet these men to be around your son. Because ultimately, certain characteristics that man are doing is going to rub off on that child. Certain characteristics of that man that's around your child is going to rub off on that child. So if you this man is always drinking and going crazy, eventually you're going to see that too. I mean, I've seen my uncles drink, seen my you know, just granddad. Well, not my granddad, but my uncles and all. They all drunk. My granddad didn't drink because he was a pastor. But my uncles and all my other family members, they drunk. And to an extent, when I got up, I started drinking, but it wasn't to the point that I drunk because they drunk. You know, I started drinking because I want to drink. You know, there's certain family members we have, they don't like drinking, so they don't drink. They had this. They had the same opportunity, seen the same familiar faces that I did. So they wasn't encouraged to do that. You know, to the extent, you put men in front of these young men to mold them to do better and be better with their life. And that's in most cases where, we're pushing in this space to the point where the title is being, Manosphere Greatness, but it was really focusing on a lot of people that were pushing away from the community and just letting them know how this is the way we get back on track to the real Manosphere Greatness, not the ones that are out here promoting, self-interest and nobody's valuable but me. This whole motivation. I'm the only one that's doing things. I'm the only one that can affect certain things. To the aspect of building families and, if you don't have family, working with family members to build these young men. Like I said, if you don't have kids, there's somebody in the neighborhood. There's a friend that has a son. Why can't you mentor them? You know, to a certain extent. I was at church one day back in the day, and this lady came in, and she was, just going hard on the men and women in there, saying that mentorship is big for young boys. That young boys need the mentorship because she said I can only help a boy so far. When it comes down to it, it's up to the men to teach a man how to be a man. Referencing the boys that when they grow up, they're gonna take on that responsibility of being men. And the only way of doing that is to be around men. You know, you can have men like I've seen situations where a lot of young guys they were getting into the street life and that was all they knew. That was all the men that they hung around. So in one eye, they thought that that's the right thing and the right way to go. You know, if you was only taught to pick up a gun and handle your business, when you talk to someone and they're saying that that's not the way, well, that's all I've been taught all my life. To the extent where some guy comes and shows you how to sit here and talk it out or even fight it out to an extent to where you get some resolve without even physical damage, that's the key. You know, yeah, it gets rough when you have men that want to kind of mentor other men and they come with a point of implementing some type of like I said, cruel, harsh punishment towards other men. That's the only way of showing some type of love. That's the only way, you know, in a sense to where the only way I know you love me is by beating on me. That's with a lot of women. I've heard most cases go through that. Is physical love is the best love, and to me that's weird. For me having to put my hands on you to show you that you're a good person or a good lady, it's kind of weird. You know, and real deal, what's going on, man? Again, that's one of the things I always kind of promote too on getting the finance together. You know, building ourselves to a certain extent to where we get our money right. Like I always promote Alonzo with the life insurance because I already say when you get older, depending on your credit and stuff, you're not going to be getting approved for all these loans and things. Having that life insurance, you're pulling money for yourself. Uh-oh. Gold Professor's a cyborg. They got two pack.
I was just doing something.
Okay, real deal. But yeah, when it come down to it, that's like the biggest thing. When it come down to a lot of people not even pushing that generational wealth, getting people to understand, building yourself with money, building the image for yourself, building some type of brand to where I promote this, guys getting the money together, taking care of their families. A lot of guys in this space they complain about the child support, but the issue at hand, I understand. I'm not on child support. I'm not advocating that you messed up or anything. I'm just saying when it comes down to it, you're gonna have to take care of your kids regardless. So first step is, you know, if you're gonna have any more kids, let's go ahead and have that, mind frame of being married. Because if you have five baby mamas and you still not married, when are you gonna learn your lesson? That's the case of most guys. I hear them complaining about the child support. When you have three, four, five kids, like BGS always say, you like skating uphill. You didn't learn the first time, second, third, fourth, or fifth time. When are you gonna ever learn? But then you want to complain. This is the moment that I'm talking about building with the community. You gotta have some type of clarity, you know, because we get this in our community too, where men always promoting sex and we promote that, we love the women. When are we gonna promote a lot of these young guys that say, hey man, go ahead and get married before you have kids, or you're gonna be like this? You know, most of the guys do that when they have that hate relationship for that woman. That's when they want to go from that narrative. But as long as everything's all good, she's not clowning, the situation at hand is good. Hey, no harm, no foul. Let's keep living life. Um, that, what's going on, Dunny? How you doing, man? We are here. Yeah, and it's to the extent, man. Like I'm saying, promoting and helping each other. That's the biggest thing. A lot of men, we come in this space. You should be helping the young guys. Motivating them, giving them a peace of mind, giving them, some type of information to follow. But like I always say, came here for the knowledge. The understanding of have knowledge of self, knowing who you are, knowing what you want to do, knowing what you want out of life. Key. A lot of guys got to accept that, whatever you want to do, whatever you're doing in life, you got to put your best foot forward. And most of all, bring these young guys with you. Show them how it is. Show them some type of ropes. Show them how to not just get by, but how to live. In a sense to where a lot of guys go homeless, lack of knowledge, lack of self. No one's there to hold them accountable. So that's why they wild out, no remorse, and pay for it later on in jail. You know, that's the step in building the community. You know, the real thing in building the community starts with the men. At the end of the day, we don't need to be worrying about these females because if we want to build a community, it starts with us. It starts with the boys getting themselves together, being educated, and it starts with the man changing, not dealing with the women that are not going anywhere in life. You know, we can have this fight all day that the women need to get together and get it together and build a community back up. It takes us, you know, have strong genes. If the women in the community don't want to act right, hey, we gone. Because in a sense, if we trying to build families, you know, and we're waiting 20 years for our community of women to get right, if they don't want to get right, then so be it. You can go get the unicorn. If you can find a unicorn, then by all means go ahead. But if you're in search for that unicorn and never find it, hey, got to do something that works. You know, yeah, you're right. Elevate the next generation, man. Knowledge of self is the key. Knowing who you are, knowing what you want out of life, knowing what you want to accomplish. You know,
Yeah, hey, look, man. I've constantly said that we have to uh, build the, men build men. Okay. What society has been built by others that didn't involve the man? Every society has been built by men. And I'm saying that, I'm a brother now. Black men are built by black men. Now, I mean, we have to acknowledge that. Okay? No, black men build black men. We hold each other accountable. We go at each other. We have, we mentor each other. We, even through all of our dysfunction, we still build each other. And I'm not saying we do it the best way. I'm not saying we have all the correct answers in how we build each other, but men build men, and we have to deal with each other as men, boys and men. We have to deal with each other on that page. It can't be nobody else trying to build us. It can't. How does that work? I'm asking, how does that work? How do you build the greatest of all time? Because I maintain the black man is the greatest of all time. This is why you catch so much strife, black man. Only the greatest of all time can be built by the greatest of all time. That is a question. How can anyone else build the greatest of all time? Look, we had Elijah Muhammad, right? Peace be upon him. We had Elijah Muhammad, who was like 5'8", somewhere in there, slender little man. How did he take men who were of larger stature in different aspects of their life? I mean, how did he do it? How did he build them? How did he build a nation? Now, I'm not saying the nation had everything correct, but how did he build? How did he get these brothers who were doing things that were so far out of pocket to get in order? Men build men, brother. I'm just saying. So,
Yeah, that's facts. And when you're building men, you got to take on that strategy and, having the right men to guide these young men. Because in this space, that's one of the key things we're dealing with now. You know, trying to have the young men being brought up and groomed by dysfunctional men. And when we have that dysfunction, it pours out into the next man. You know, same thing with the women. That's why we have a whole lot of hot girl summers because of why the generation before them didn't learn. So what did they do? They passed on those same images and talks, and it's funny how when I talk to people, and a lot of guys, they always say when I talk about Atlanta, the biggest thing is how Freaknik was back in the day. It was a wild moment, you know, a time in the past where people was, wilding out, young college kids doing everything because why? That was supposed to be the norm. When you go to college, it was for you to experience life. You know, a lot of people, I talked to a couple of men, they told me going to college is basically is an experience. It's not for the education. A lot of people go there. There's a lot of things that they already know. They have good study habits in which they pick up trades. They can go into the field early and start the career ahead of most. But because we're taught the norm of going to school 8, 10, 15 years and becoming a doctor, to the point where if you come in as a nurse assistant or whatever and move your way up, go to school, become a, LP, then I guess a RN, then, you come in with a PhD afterwards and all, the levels to where if you've already in a career, you know how things move, you know how things work. Guys who become master electricians, they don't sit at a desk, learning this stuff for 30, 40 years. They come in, learn the trade, work in the field, and educate themselves and move up the ranking that way. You know, I can teach you how to, in the books, you can read things on how to become a plumber all day, but going out there and actually putting in the work, grabbing those pipes, sealing them up, hey, that's only hand talk. You got to be out there, you get your hands greasy, and get them dirty. And that's what it starts with the community, building them. We build that community, there you go. And like I said, we're starting with the right men that's going to come in and implement, like you say, Gold Professor, 9 laws of self-government. Rule number one, discipline. Implementing that discipline.
Yeah, this conversation, it is important that we, build on it, but we don't want the conversation to be circular. Okay, we don't want that because when it becomes circular, then the word redundance applies, begins to be implemented. We don't want a redundant conversation. So, our direction should be continue to push people to hear our conversation and work towards the positive of it. If people are really about the black man and his family, in which I tend to believe people are about the come up of the black man, stepping on the black man to come up. And that's my personal view. I mean, I look at it from a historical standpoint. But if people are about the black man having his just due, then we should see everyone be about it. Then, it should be about it. That's my view on that. If we hear, the black man, we want the black man to do. We want him to take care. We want him. We hear that, but I spoke about the pattern. I spoke about the pattern. Okay. Regardless of how these black men are leaving this world, what is the pattern? It is more of us leaving this world in so many fashions than it is everyone else.
Yeah, that's true. And kind of with that being said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to end the stream. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down, and might even come back later while I'm at home where I can, mess around with the mic, add me some drops on there. But nice hearing from your Gold P.
Yes, sir. Sheed's mic matters. Yes, daggone right.
Hey, underrated. Got anything else to say, man, on the topic at hand? Uh-oh.
Being underrated might be tied up.
Yeah, now making a sandwich.
Nah, I'm here. I'm here.
He
I'm here.
Oh,
Now.
I
underrated
just
doing a
say,
mukbang. He doing a
hey, you over
mukbang
there
right now.
making the move bang right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got,
one
I can't.
coming in a few days. Y'all making fun. Y'all stop making fun of me. Yeah,
Hey,
cut it
you
out
know,
for
I always say when it get quiet, man, somebody back there making a sound. I got that. Actually, I got that from Dead Set, man.
real.
Dead Set, I always say, I'm just here for the sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Well,
But you
well,
got
I
anything
say,
else?
I say this that you got to keep it going. Salute you. And also, like you were saying, I echo it. It's nothing wrong, brothers, to love a black woman. It's nothing wrong being a commitment. There's nothing wrong having a family, and that also has to be the conversation. I will have that in the near future. You know, and us black men, let's be good to each other. Let's understand our value. I did talk about that a few days ago, and embrace the conversations that go brother go professional and she embrace that, support it, because we need more conversations like that. And I put myself in it too. We need brother, we definitely need
Gold P?
Well, I want to just say thank you for blessing me to be on the panel with you, Sheed, even though I have proclaimed myself as your uh, co host. Yeah, uh, I am thankful that you blessed me with to be in your presence, brother. And I would just say, uh, these are conversations we have to get to the resolve, to get to some solution that we can put forth, you know. But once again, I said we have to unravel the chaos first to get to the, you know, because we are here. Well, what is the solution? Okay. Well, we have to unravel the chaos to get to the solution because if we're continually engulfed in the chaos, then how can we get to the solution? So my deal is to unravel the chaos to get to the core of what the issue is. Then we can work on the solution. And I maintain that the core of this issue is the black man. I've said continuously that it's always been about the black man. Always. You just have to acknowledge that and say, okay, it is. Come to that reality. It always has been about the black man. So I will leave it at that.
All right. You know, and like I said, I did a screen on, you know, who needs to change first, the man or the female. And we got to resolve from that, being with the Kings. And also drop my video. I'm going to kind of keep doing this series on helping the belt because we got to get an understanding that, if you want to get help, we ain't got to learn how to help themselves. And it starts with, preparing your kids, you know, preparing your boys to actually, get up to when they get a little older. You don't have to run around asking people for help because, if you done what it takes, put certain things into play, of course you're gonna need a little guidance here and there. But when it really comes down to it, you have a mindset to help yourself, and that's like the biggest key of it all. You know, helping yourself, knowing you have the power in which it takes to get things done, and if you don't, you always have that guidance from the elders in your family, to bring you along, to put you up to speed. You know, like I told you
Hey,
about my oldest son. You know, he built himself by looking at me, and he's structuring himself, certain ways, with some I don't approve of, but at the same time, like I told him, he got to pick his path. Go ahead, go P.
I want to say peace to the Roger Report live. Peace to you, brother. Glad to see you dropped in. Uh, I'm glad to see you dropped in on us, and we here.
Yeah,
We
man.
here.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. So just wanted to say that.
yeah.
Support and subscribe to Sheeds We Here. Sheeds Mike Matters. We gonna give that to Rain and Woman for orchestrating that title there, that phrase there. Sheeds Mike Matters.
Told you, man.
Yeah,
You say her name 3 times. She
I
gonna come.
know yeah, she just shows up.
Yeah, but we're gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and end this. And like I said, man, check out my community tab, which I built for myself. I start stream recording a lot of people's channel, putting it out there. Shout out to the Roger Report. Shout out to Underrated. Shout out to the Gold Professor Radio. Sheila E. The Quiet Storm. Mace Tiger in this space with the sports sphere. Shout out to Alonzo. Shout out to all the greats, man. They just keep this thing going. Donnie. Shout out to AM. Shout out to all the brothers in the space, and the sisters now, because motivating too. We help the sisters. We bring the sisters along as well, because
right,
when it really
right.
counts, the sisters are there, working with us. And once again, with that being said, we are gone. Peace, Gold
Peace.
Professor.
Peace to everyone in the chat. Peace to Sheed We Here. Support and subscribe to Sheed We Here. I'm Gold Professor, and yes, sir, we are out.